All right, 7:32. We are going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us tonight to learn about the important role that the XLH network has in advocacy. And I wanted to start with a little bit of housekeeping. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a couple of things. You'll see a little chat section, and you'll see a Q&A. You can open those up, and on the Q&A, feel free to ask any questions during any part of the presentation, and we will answer all those at the end. But go ahead and put any questions that you might have in there. And then on the chat function, if you have any comments, you're welcome to put that in there. Let's go ahead and see if you're able to use that chat function. If you will, just open that up and tell me where you're logged in from today. I'm from Alabama, in Troy, South Alabama. I see New York and Connecticut. Hey guys, thanks for joining. North Dakota, sorry. Great. Thank you guys for putting all this in. This is great information, and I know that the chat function is working. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Advocacy has been an important part of the XLH network for many years. We've had members of the network that have met with different members of of Congress. We've also had people that have testified to the FDA, and they've also participated in initiatives in their state and federal government to make a difference for the XLH community, among other countless activities that members have done. However, this year, the XLH network wants to bring us all together to make our voices louder. I'm going to start sharing my screen now. So, advocating for rare disease. Many voices are louder than one single voice. This is the power of advocacy. What is advocacy? The definition is public support for or recommendation of a particular cause or policy. I like to say the 3 A's. What are they? Awareness. Tell your story to your doctor, your family, friends, community, and legislators. Basically, anyone that will listen, tell your story. Advancement. Get involved. You can help advance a movement or an effect a policy change. Can't do that if you don't get involved, though. Action. Make contacts. Write letters. Call or visit your elected officials. Support patient and advocacy organizations. What are some of the reasons people do not advocate? I don't think I can make a difference. This is a big one, and I have even thought that myself. What can I do by myself to make a difference? I don't know what to do or where to start. I don't know what to say. Or I don't know my legislator or their address. What do all these things have in common? I don't. But you know what? With the XLH network, we can do it together. So where do we start? The first A is awareness. And you can't advocate for someone else unless you've already advocated for yourself. So we're going to have self-advocacy as the first step of awareness. You need to find a specialist that knows your disease or willing to learn. You also need to know about your insurance coverage. Most insurances, you will send a booklet or send you a link detailing your complete medical coverage at the beginning of every year. If you don't know a question, ask. Raise your voice and tell your story then. By telling your story, you put a face to your rare disease and give it a voice. If you don't give it a voice, then no one knows what you're facing. Share your story, by sharing your story brings attention to the needs of the rare disease community. If we don't tell our story and tell what our needs are, then how will they know? You never know the impact your story will have on others. There may be someone in that audience that is struggling, and your story will make a difference for them. You have to know your why. My dad is my why. He was my hero, and he was the one that taught me how to advocate. So when you tell your story, you want to be clear, you want to be concise, and you want to be confident. Your story cannot be wrong. It's your own personal experience, and no one else can tell your story for you. It has value and it has meaning. The second step of advocacy is advancement. Get involved. How do you get involved? Become a member of a patient organization like the XLH network. Volunteer on the committees at events or special programs, or maybe even become a board member. Become a member of an advocacy organization like NORD, Every Life Foundation, or Global Genes. These organizations offer meetings and summits and workshops to teach you how to advocate. Or you could participate in advocacy events like Rare Disease Week on Capitol Hill. And the third step of advocacy is action. How do we do that? We can meet our legislators. But before you meet your legislators, you need to do some research. Go to congress.gov and look up your member of Congress. Get to know your legislator in order to make a personal connection. If you make a personal connection, they're more likely to remember your story. You can also go to everylifefoundation.org and go to their legislative scorecard. On these scorecards, you can see what pieces of legislation your member of Congress has supported. This is an example of my legislative scorecard. It's kind of small, I'm sorry, but on there you can see the members of Congress, the different bills, and how they voted. And if you're asking for support for a proposed piece of legislation, know the key details. Most proposed bills have a one-pager that you can share with your legislator, like this. This is the one-pager for the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act. On this one-pager, it gives details about what the bill proposes, the summary, the background, the problem that we face, and the solution. It also gives them the head sponsor of the bill. So, can advocacy make a difference? Let's talk about the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act. It was reintroduced to the 117th Congress on March 16, 2021. The National Foundation of Epidermal Dysplasia sponsored an advocacy day on Capitol Hill on April 28, 2021, which I was proudly a member of those people who spoke to their members of Congress in support of the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act. Then, on May 5th, 2021, the Senate had already gotten 32 co-sponsors out of 100, and the House had gotten 205 co-sponsors. As of today, the House has 310 co-sponsors and is up for a vote on April the 4th. So it has a supermajority, and hopefully it will be passed in the House. And there you can see just a picture of the co-sponsors in the House and how it balances out. We also have in the Senate 40 co-sponsors. So what are some other current proposed legislation? The first one is actually not a piece of legislation, but it is asking our members of Congress to join the Rare Disease Caucus. The Congressional Rare Disease Caucus is a forum for members of Congress to voice their constituents' concerns, collaborate on ideas, facilitate conversations between the medical and patient community, and build support for legislation that will improve the lives of rare diseases. And this is a bipartisan caucus, so members of the Democratic or Republican Party or independents can join, and it's for the House and for the Senate. We just spoke about the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act. The next one is the Newborn Screening Act. The Newborn Screening Act is a bill that will continue to provide crucial federal programs that will provide assistance to the states to improve and expand their newborn screening programs. And the STACT Act, the Speeding Therapy Access Today Act, it would help create a FDA Center of Excellence for Rare Disease. And it's also a bipartisan bill that would create, that's been created to input of the rare disease community aimed at improving the development and access of therapies for rare diseases. There's also the Benefit Act and Genetic Counseling Act. And if you're interested in those, I can get you that information. You can just email me. So, how do you advocate on social media? You can use social media outlets like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or any of the other platforms and engage with your community leaders, your members of Congress, other rare disease communities, and your family and friends. What about hashtags? Hashtags are a way to create a searchable link. It allows for tracking discussions on topics based on keywords. For example, in 2021, when I participated in the Rare Disease Week on Capitol Hill, this was a post that I made onto Facebook about one of my meetings with one of my representatives, and I used the hashtag RareDC 2021. How do you engage? Like your members of Congress pages, like on Facebook or Instagram, and when they put something on their page, comment. You can write them letters or emails. You can also write letters to the editor at your local newspapers. If you speak with members of Congress, remember to send a thank you. Or if they vote on a particular bill that you're interested in, send them a thank you note for their support. If they have town hall meetings in your area, you can attend those, or you might invite them to special events that you have going on. This is one of my favorite quotes of Mother Teresa. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. The XLH network wants to make many ripples this year. So I'm excited to announce our first XLH Awareness Day on Capitol Hill. XLH Network has been advocating for over 25 years for our members. And this year, we're going to be advocating together on Capitol Hill with a virtual visit, June the 23rd. So we're going to ask you all to please register to be one of our members that speaks with their members of Congress. And I have actually got a visitor with us, Kelly Russian. She has graciously accepted my invitation to join us tonight. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And she is going to help me with a mock visit. So you may ask me, what is a visit on Capitol Hill? This is a virtual or in person. We're going to actually do a virtual visit with our senators or our members of the House of Representatives. And Kelly and I are going to do a mock visit, and she is going to be Senator Rushing from Alabama. Hello, Senator Rushing.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
You're very welcome. I would like to know how I can help.
I'd like to tell you a little bit about my rare disease journey and some of the difficulties the XLH community faces. I'm a third generation XLH patient. XLH stands for X-linked hypophosphatemia. I was diagnosed when I was about 1 year old, and XLH, it causes our bodies not to absorb phosphorus like it needs to. So our bones do not mineralize like they're supposed to, and they're very soft and weak. Well, that not only affects our bones, but it also affects our teeth. I had my first abscess when I was around 9 years old, and I had to have a root canal, and it was really traumatic. And I remember not wanting to go to the dentist after that. Well, luckily, as I've gotten older, I've not had as many dental problems as some of the XLHers in our community has. But many of the XLHers face dental issues, and that's one of the main complaints from our community. And there's some of our members have even had to have up to 11 root canals in a year, which is extremely excessive. And dental work is not cheap. And actually, the dental insurance doesn't cover a lot of that. And some of our members have had to pay up to $40,000 out of pocket just for dental coverage, which is very hard on somebody that has a rare disease. So today I would like to ask you, if you would, support and co-sponsor the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act, which is a bipartisan bill that will require health insurance to cover, diagnose, and treatment of congenital abnormalities. This bill would allow XLH patients to receive the medical and dental treatment that they need to live a healthy, sustainable life.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm so glad you brought us these concerns, and I will definitely look into the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act. May I ask you, is dental the only procedures that this bill will cover?
No, it's not. With XLHers, they also suffer from hearing loss due to poor mineralization in the small bones in their ears. This bill will also require health insurance to cover hearing aids, which many XLHers need but can't afford.
So you said that this bill was bipartisan. Do you know how many co-sponsors it has already?
Yeah, I do. Today, in Senate, it has 40 co-sponsors, and in the House, it has 310 co-sponsors. And there's been a motion for a vote in the House. Can I ask you, can we count on your support for this bill?
I'd like to do some more research on the bill before I commit to it, but it definitely sounds like something that I would support.
That's great. May I follow up with you in a couple weeks just to check in and see if you've been able to get the information that you need?
Sure, that would be great.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to our stories and hear about our ask. May I take a picture to put on social media?
Of course, absolutely.
Great. Say cheese. Thank you, Kelly. So that's kind of like how a visit would go. And they may have other questions, and it's okay if you don't know the answer. If you don't know the answer, just tell them that. We would rather you tell them that you don't know the answer and you would find out and get back with them than telling them something that you don't know or tell them the wrong information. So again, we're excited that this year we can all come together to have a XLH Awareness Day on Capitol Hill, and that you're going to be able to talk to your representatives and tell your story and ask them the things that we need for our community. We're probably going to ask for the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act. Hopefully by then the House will have passed the Ensuring Lasting Smiles Act, so we would ask for support in the Senate. We will probably ask for our members of Congress and our members of the House to join the Rare Disease Caucus. And we're probably going to ask for support for the newborn screening. So does anyone have any questions? I don't see anything in the queue. I would love to answer anything that you might have. If you have any questions, go ahead and type those in. If you can't get them in the Q&A screen, you're more than welcome to put them in the chat. While I'm waiting on questions, I also wanted to let you know, we will post the link for the registration for the Capitol Hill visit, and there will be a small fee of $5 for registering for the visit. This fee is to cover the expense of a lapel pin that you can wear on the day of the Capitol Hill visits for support. And it will also ensure that if you register for the Capitol Hill visits that you will attend. It's very important that if you register that you do attend. We will have a training the week before to show you how to use the platform that we will be using. And we'll also have someone from the Ever Life Foundation that will go over the key pieces of legislation that we will be asking our members of Congress and representatives for their support. And they'll give us the keynotes that we will need in order to talk to our representatives. A lot of people feel kind of overwhelmed when they do a visit where they're members of Congress, but actually it's very laid back, and they are so super nice, and they want to hear your story, and they want to hear our concerns. They can't make changes for us if they don't know what to do. So this is an exciting opportunity for us to raise our voices. So I still don't see any questions in the Q&A or the chats. I guess I did such a wonderful job. Kelly, can you think of any questions?
Just maybe but we'll go over this later, to have a like a prepared statement, prepared what you're going to say to them.
Yeah, so we'll have the training about a week before our visits. And normally when you do a Capitol Hill visit, they say to have an elevator pitch, and your elevator pitch is normally 2 to 3 minutes. A lot of times when you go into these visits, when the member of Congress or their staffers come onto the call, you'll ask them how long you have. And that's especially important if you have multiple people on your call, because you want to make sure you give everyone a chance to speak. So if you will just do a kind of a short little 2 to 3 minute story about yourself, why you're advocating, and have that written down, or know it, memorize it, however you want to do. And you can even do a one pager, and we can talk about that later. If you want to do a one pager, you can put your picture on there. You can tell about your disease and different things that you have issues with. And that's something that we could actually email to our members of Congress before the meeting, and they have it after the meeting, so they can go back and reflect on what your story was and the different things that you might want to be asking them. So let's see. The question we have: do you have samples of text to send to Congress? Yeah, so we'll have, and I'm thinking that, are you asking about the one pagers for the different bills? If that's what you're asking, yes, we do have those, and we will send that out to the members of Congress before all the meetings. So all the ones that we're going to cover, they'll get a sample of that. And if you need help with your story, your elevator pitch, please email me at shannon.sharp@xlhnetwork.org, and I will be happy to do a Zoom call with you to let you practice your elevator pitch, or your story. Or if you want to email it to me, I'll be happy to look over that with you. I hope I answered that question. If I didn't, please put it back, another one, into the Q&A. Do you have any other questions, Kelly? One important thing I wanted to bring up: not all meetings, the senator or the House of Representatives member will be in your meeting. A lot of times one of their staffers will do the meeting for them. And although that may be disappointing, sometimes it's not that big of a deal, because the staffers are the ones that gets the information together for our senators and our representatives and presents it to them. So the staffers are the ones that we really want to get in their ear to be able to share our story and to tell them, this is what we need. So they get all that information together and give it to the senator. So don't get disappointed if you don't have a meeting with your senator or your representative. Meeting with one of their staffers can be just as important as talking to them. So we have a couple of questions, a comment. Thank you. You guys are so sweet. And I'm so glad you want to be a part of this. I'm really hoping that we have a good turnout, because this event, like Susan and I actually participated in the Rare Disease Week visits on Capitol Hill, and that was for any rare diseases. So like in my meeting, there was probably about 5 or 6 of us, and that was 5 or 6 diseases. I was the only person that had XLH. So this event is specifically for XLH patients. So they won't hear any other stories other than ours. So they're going to remember our XLH stories. And because our community is so small, you actually may be the only person in your state, or there may be only 2 or 3 other people. So you may have the whole time to talk to them about your story and your disease and our ask. So I think this is a great opportunity for the XLH network to raise awareness for our disease. Do we have any other questions? I'm so grateful that you've all joined tonight. And if you come up with any other questions or any other comments that you need to reach out to us about, you're welcome to email me, or you can email the executive director at xlhnetwork.com. And I'm just going to put my my email in the chat box. That way you guys will have it. Kelly, can you think of anything else that I did not mention? Kelly's my partner.
You pretty well covered everything that I can think of. And there may be more that comes up later, but for now, I think you've covered everything.
Great. Thank you so much. So like I said, we'll have that training the week before. I'm not exactly sure the date yet, but we will post that when we get it. And we'll have someone that actually goes over the platform with us to show us how to use it. It's super easy. And then we'll have, like I said, someone from the Every Life Foundation. They'll go over the key pieces of legislation that we are going to ask our senators and representatives for. And then we'll be able to answer any questions. You'll get your schedule from the Advocacy Associates probably the Friday before our meetings, and you'll be able to go into the platform and see what time they are. I'm sorry, I can't tell you exactly what time those are because they set up those meetings. So the meetings, you know, they may be any time during that day, and they are on Eastern time because that's the time in DC. But when you see your schedule in the platform, it will tell you what Eastern time is and what your time frame is. So like if you're in California, they're not going to schedule a visit for you, you know, at 5 o'clock in the morning for, you know, Pacific time. They're going to schedule it. They're going to know where you're at, and they'll schedule accordingly. But you may have like your senator meetings in the morning. You may have your House of Representative meetings in the afternoon. So once you get your schedule, you'll be able to see that. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight, and watch the Facebook page, and we will put that registration link up so you can go in and register for the event. And there is a question on there. I know that a lot of XLHers have hearing loss. So there is a question on there that if you need closed captioning, to please check yes. And there's a special little thing they will have to do for those meetings for closed captioning. So make sure if you have hearing loss and you need closed captioning, which is the transcript for you to be able to understand what's being said, make sure you say yes on that. If you have any other questions or need anything, please reach out to us. And again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Kelly, thank you for all your help. I love having you as my partner in crime. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
My pleasure.
It's being recorded, so if there's anything you want to rewatch, we will post that in the next day or so. All right. Thank you. Have a great night, guys.